guys, and welcome back to our second edition or episode of Foot Talk TV. I know lately we haven't been uploading, well, it's been for months, I guess. Abel's mom had a new child. That's the next Messi, Joe Martinez. We've been busy with new jobs, school, and whatnot. So it's been really hard to actually work on the product lately. So we might start doing them through Zoom, which just seems more efficient, convenient in order to throw out more content. So yes, welcome back, guys, to the channel. We're happy to have you guys. Sibo, do you have any words before we begin?
Yeah, um, some pretty good games, but yeah, let's talk about them.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. Champions League and Europa League, but today we're going to focus mainly on Champions League, because everyone loves the champions. So we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about our two things today: our reactions, our thoughts on the games that took place this week in the Champions League, and our predictions. If we have time, we'll talk about the predictions for next match and the predictions for the rest of the league. So let's start with the first match that Abel has been waiting to talk about.
Sure.
Le Paris Saint Germain, Bayern Munich versus PSG. Abel, let's start with you. We see that PSG. Oh, you're the only one here. No Jess, no Will. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you have other stuff to do. But PSG beat
Yeah.
Bayern. For some, it was a disappointment. For others, it was of a game of joy, a result of joy. Abel, what are your thoughts about this match?
Yeah, it was a pretty intense game. It was like like a basketball game. Action the whole time.
Right, right,
I I didn't I watched up to like 78th minute or something like that, but every minute it was really good, and every minute I see Bayern with most of the possession,
mm-hmm.
but PSG still won, and you got to give them credit. They played really well. The main problem that all Bayern's fan had were their defense. They were worried about their defense. And when you're playing a team like PSG that like to expose the defense and have talent like Neymar and Mbappe, you got to be ready that to have the best defense you can have. And clearly, Bayern went up for that challenge and they paid the price. Three away goals from PSG, even though Bayern play was the better team, or in my
Right.
opinion, was the better team. They lost because of their defense, and you can say all you want that level wasn't there. That's why they lost, and it is probably true. But Bayern should have mainly focused on their defense, not their attack. Even though we did have Keylor Navas, but
Mm-hmm.
the main reason Bayern lost is their defense.
So we see at the stats, and this is what everyone's been talking about lately. The team stats for the game overall. You see, Bayern had 31 shots, and 12 shots on target, as opposed to PSG having 6 shots in total and 5 shots on target. Then, as you already mentioned, the possession that Bayern had was ridiculous. Well, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it was superior than PSG. So possession 64% to 36%. Abel, how do you explain this? PSG having won the match with 3 goals, have 50% shots on target, as opposed to Bayern, which it seems like they were just bombarding them. How do you explain this?
That's true. Yeah, like I said, their defense. It looked like a game of FIFA. 64 possession for Bayern and 34 six possessions for PSG.
It's like when we
I
play.
Yeah, in my opinion, I thought that like I'm a PSG fan, but I was being realistic. I thought Bayern was gonna win, even with level.
Yeah,
I could have made a $200 bet and won $200, but I didn't do it because I was scared because
right.
I thought Bayern was gonna win, and they well, to my surprise, PSG won. And like if you saw the game, the PSG always losing the ball. They weren't playing as unified as they did
Mm-hmm.
versus Barca in the first leg, and they were all in the middle. The PSG's midfield was always losing the ball, and you can Marquinhos got injured, so then Danilo had to go back
Right.
to defending. But the PSG somehow won because their attack is too good and Bayern's defense was too bad.
This is a conversation that I had with Sahara. You know how he has his podcast, the Insider, and so I was
Big
actually
fan of that podcast.
he actually invited me as a guest, and we're talking about City versus. Well, we're talking about potential semifinals, potential matches like final match like the final, whether it be Bayern, City, or PSG. Which I have favorites coming out from that bracket, that side of the bracket, against Real Madrid or Chelsea. But what I was saying,
Tahada just texted me.
so I was saying, it's just, for example, the PSG versus Bayern, and it's a good thing you mentioned. Like when you analyze both teams, right now, at least right now at the moment, the two squads that played PSG, they're strikers. They're powerhouses. You have Mbappe, you have Neymar. They're pacey. They're talented. They're just shoot. Everyone wants those kind of strikers in their teams,
The
but
best attack in Europe.
yeah, but when you look at their midfield, you see PSG's midfield is they're not as consistent as Bayern's midfield. And as
That's
you said,
true.
and as we look at the stats, we will watch the game, we look at the highlights. Bayern dominated in possession because their midfield is just way better. But here we prove that, and I think Bayern. This is why Bayern suffered, because all the Bayern had all these shots, so much possession. It may seem obvious, but it is important to point out the few times you slip, we see PSG's pace. They take advantage of the pace. They take advantage of the skill, finishing everything, creativity, and there you go. And you get a
Yeah.
result like this.
Some people are saying Bayern PSG don't deserve the win. In my opinion, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think they do because their main idea in the game was to expose that defense, to
Right.
expose that long that back line because it's like really high, so
Hmm.
it would work to PSG's advantage, and that's what they did. They did that, so they fairly won the game. They deserve to win.
Right. It was.
I think also if level was there, maybe it would be like a tie because some of the Chupa did good, but
Yeah.
if that was level, he would have made some of those shots that Chupa missed.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so moving on to the next game. I know we're not really going in that chronological order, but we're definitely talking about the matches are of most interest. I mean, the Champions League. I'm not trying to minimize any match, but because it's champions. But there are matches that, of course, interest more people that spark more debate. And I want to move on next to Real Madrid versus Liverpool. Abel, what are your thoughts here? We see here teams that have both teams. Yes, we can. I consider them as heavyweights. These are champions, these are titans, these are teams that have won championships, players that have won so many championships and a lot of accolades throughout their career. However, what is affecting them have been their injuries, and for that reason they have been inconsistent in the Champions League and in their domestic leagues, especially in their domestic leagues. Abel, what do you think of this result? Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1.
They trash teams, bro. Like they're garbage. Like if you're a fan, nah,
Ah.
just kidding. Nah, just kidding. Nah. I hate both of those teams. So it was like the game was like kind of boring too. But it was all like what team can hide their injuries and bad defense better, and Real Madrid won that.
Right.
Real Madrid was the better team.
And we see it's not as, what's it called, or how could I say this, it's not as similar as the Bayern versus PSG game, but when you look at the team stats, when you look at the game stats, you see Real Madrid had 16 shots and 7 shots on target. That's almost about half of their shots on target, as opposed to Liverpool had 7 shots on target and one, I mean 7 shots in total, sorry, and 1 shot on target, which was their goal. And but here in this case we see Real Madrid won. Hey, well, what do you think? In what ways can Liverpool improve, especially when they have the nice strikers, really prolific strikers like Jota, Diego Jota, Mohamed Salah, Sane, Firmino? How do you think Liverpool can improve overall, not including injuries, of course, because those things are we can things that we cannot avoid. How can they improve?
Yeah. So like I've been saying, like Liverpool trash. They don't have Van Dijk. Literally, they're nothing without Van Dijk. And maybe that's not true, but Liverpool Liverpool have all the players they have that they want everything but Van Dijk. I don't know